Codependency is really interesting too, because in addition to taking on board too much of other people's stuff, we don't take on enough of our own stuff. While you are overgiving in one sense, you're undergiving to yourself. They're the symptoms of codependency. Codependency results in us completely doing away with our boundaries. In many cases, we're not connected to what our boundaries are, but we get activated in a boundary, we get awakened to a boundary, we notice it when we start to feel really resentful, pissed off, tired, etc. And we're like, oh, I went too far, I went past my own limits, and so there's a boundary there. Codependency is really interesting too, because in addition to this taking on board too much of other people's stuff, we don't take on enough of our own stuff. So it's almost like we're distracting ourselves from being disconnected from our own feelings and thoughts and needs and wants. Needs and wants are sometimes the same thing, but we're disconnected from that because we're too busy taking care of other people. So we're taking responsibility on for them, which isn't our responsibility, and yet we're putting on the responsibility for our own needs onto someone else. And sometimes that's the same person. Sometimes we're helping to feel good ourselves. Sometimes we're helping to avoid feeling bad, to avoid the emotions that will come up when we say no. Sometimes we're helping to, like I said, to distract ourselves from the fact that we're not really that connected to what we need and what we want. And we're definitely not connected to what we need if we're overgiving and then we get pissed off and exhausted. Been there. Hello, I'm Cheryl. I'm a recovering codependent. They're the symptoms of codependency. While you are overgiving in one sense, you're undergiving to yourself. An example of helping someone out and then wishing you hadn't because you suffer because of it, right? Helping is not helping when it hurts you. It's not. That's unhealthy helping. The other side of it is because you're so busy giving to other people and you're not in tune with what you need, then a crisis happens and all hell breaks loose and it's all dramatic. And instead of going within and processing it, what we do when we're really codependent is we expect everyone else to pick up the slack because we overgive so much. Surely when we're in need, everyone else drops everything. It's really, really unhealthy. It's like it gets to a crisis point. And so this is, so say you're on the receiving end of this. This is the friend that texts you and you scroll through your phone 3 times and you're still not at the end of the message and it goes on and on and on and on. In that moment, it's your job to go within. It's your job to go within and figure out what you're thinking and feeling and make sense of that and process it. And by process, I mean, journal on it, think on it, meditate on it. Mull it over while you're out for a run or a walk or at the gym or something, or you're doing yoga or whatever it is. It's processing emotions is kind of like filtering coffee. That's the image Spirit's giving me. It's kind of like filtering coffee. It kind of percolates. It takes time for it to all come through. To create something completely new. But a lot of people don't process the emotions and they stay with the raw ingredients. Let's stay with that analogy. They stay with the raw ingredients and then they're smashing things going, why don't I have an omelette yet? And you're because you've got an egg and you've got some milk and you've got some red bell peppers and salt and pepper and you need to combine it and mix it and cook it and then you've got yourself an omelette. There's no point getting frustrated and going, no, it's not the thing I want it to be. Well, you need to take the raw ingredients, right, the emotions, and process them, cook it, marinate it, percolate it, whatever, and then you get the finished product. You get the epiphany, you get the awakening, you get the realization, I understand what that was. I overgave and that's why I was pissed off, and I'm overgiving because I was raised in a home that really fostered that kind of behavior. I've given you some examples there of what it looks like to be the codependent who overgives and what it looks like to be the codependent who expects someone else to fix her problems because she spends all her time fixing other people's. So of course other people should fix hers. And also because she's spending time fixing other people's problems, she doesn't have the skill set to process her own emotions, to let it percolate, to take the raw ingredients and make it into an omelette or cake or whatever. Can you tell I don't really cook? Going back to the topic of what it looks like to be supported and to give support without being codependent, it looks like taking responsibility for your emotions and reaching out for help when you are already in a place where you are somewhat through the process of understanding what's going on. And I know that might sound a little backwards, well, why would you ask for help when you figured it out? But what it looks like is not taking the raw ingredients like the egg and the milk and the salt and pepper and the butter and all of that, taking that to a friend and going, make me a fucking omelette. Instead, you're like, look, I've cracked the eggs, I've whisked them around, I'm not sure if this is on the right temperature or not. Should I put the peppers in first and then the egg, or should I do it the opposite way around? What would you recommend? That's a slightly healthier way of doing it, because you're not giving all your raw emotions to the friend and saying, I don't know what's going on and it's a disaster. You're going, look, I'm trying these things, but I'd really love your feedback. Right, because I'm getting towards the finished product. I'm getting towards the omelette or the realization of what's going on, but I'm in it, and I'd really love your perspective. You're not asking them to do it for you. You're not asking them to do the heavy lifting. You're just saying, hey, I'm working through it at the moment, and I'd just love to ask you a couple questions.